Hello guys, I'm going to show you how to link JavaScript to HTML in Visual Studio Code. First of all, let's just head toward our VS Code and create a new HTML file. Let's call it index.html. Hit enter, and first let's just initialize our HTML file with doc type and HTML5 tag. Okay, now let's add a very basic layout, something like a title with h1 tag, and let's type hey guys. Okay, perfect. And Control S to save the changes. Okay, in order to run it on our browser, let's just right click on the page and go to open with live server and wait a little bit. Alright, as you can see, the port 5500 is right now active, and a couple of seconds away we can witness our web page being run on the browser. Okay, as you can see, it is being served on this port and everything is perfect. The next step is to create our JavaScript file. Let's create it right here. Let's call it script.js. And let's add a very basic JavaScript code right here, something without any dependencies to anything. Let's just say console.log. Something like I am working. Okay, Control S to save the changes, and let's go to our browser. Let's right click on the page and go to inspect. Here on the sidebar, let's just click on the console. Console is actually where the JavaScript code is going to be run. And as you can see, there's nothing here. It's totally empty, which means there's no JavaScript code linked to this HTML file. So we have to link this JavaScript file to our HTML file. In order to do that, let's head toward our HTML file, and all we have to do is just go to the end of our body tag and add a new tag called script. Okay, it has an attribute called source. Let's type source, and the value of the source attribute would be the path of the script file. Okay, if it's working correctly, I have to see that I am working is displayed on the console. Let's head to the browser, and as you can see, it is actually displaying on the console. Let me just, okay. As you can see, it's working, and it means that the connection is made perfectly. Okay, let me show you some other way to connect our HTML file to the JavaScript file. Let me just remove this. Let's go to the end of our head and add a new script tag and source attribute, and the same thing would be here, the path of the JavaScript file. The extra thing you have to do is just put a differ tag in the script tag. Make sure you add this, unless it won't work. Control S and let's head to the browser. And as you can see, if I refresh the page, it's displaying it, and which means the connection is made correctly. Okay, but how can we actually access our HTML layouts in our JavaScript file? Well, there are lots of ways, accessing by the tags, by classes, IDs, but the one I'm going to show you here is accessing them by the ID. Let me just give this h1 tag an ID. ID is equal to title, for example. Control S and head to the script file. Okay. In order to bind an HTML layout in our JavaScript file, we need to define a const variable. Let's type const, and let's give it a name, whatever you want. I will go with title text, and this title text will be equal to, and here I have to use an object called document. It's actually a pool full of the HTML layouts, and it actually accesses all the needed functions to access these objects. And the one I'm going to use here is the getElementById function, since I give the layout an ID. the argument that this function gets is actually the ID of the layout. Let's go and copy this ID and pass it to this function. And then let's just console.log title is, and then the title text object. Okay, Control S, and let's take a look at our browser. As you can see, it's kind of working, but what it is actually displaying is the object itself and not the value inside of it. And how can I actually access the value and not the object itself? I want the text. I'm going to show you in a sec. Okay, let's head toward our JavaScript file, and in title text, let's just add .innerHTML. This innerHTML actually returns the value of this HTML object.